so-called podcast listeners. Today is a special episode. Today we're talking about something that's super important, and I don't think people understand how important today is, or this month is for us. This is the month that we're supposed to celebrate us as a people, who we are, and things like that. Um, I don't know, A-Rob, Riri, Styles, I know y'all can agree with me that now in 2025, people don't talk about Black History Month like they used to back in the day. Y'all agree with me on that? Go ahead, unmute your mic. Talk to me,
I,
bro.
I I can agree with you.
How about you, A-Rob? You agree with me on that? You don't really talk too
I
much about it?
mean, I think so far this year has been kind of, I can say it's been kind of different. Like I said, this year's been kind of different.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean, I
look,
mean because there's been so much stuff going on in the month of February, like with just plane crashes, stuff with the election, all type of stuff that's been going on in this month. That like I feel like that has taken away from what the month is really supposed to be.
yeah,
So
facts, man. You know, they don't do that for Cinco de Mayo and all these other things. And for the people who don't know what we're talking about tonight, our topic is on the screen right now. Topic: who are Black people and where do we come from? Who are we? The Negro slave, indigenous servants, Moors, Israelites, Jews, indigenous Americans. Who are we? And why is it a big secret of who we are? You know what I mean? And why are they hiding information? And why are they spreading the information so thin that people, we can't agree to what it is? Now, we know for sure Black people don't agree to a lot of things, you know what I mean? If I tell brothers, yo, we are more, they say, no, I'm an Israelite. If I tell them, hey, we're indigenous to America, they're like, no, we're not, we're from Africa. You know what I mean? I think we're the only people who is so spread out so thin that people don't even want to agree. Now, if you look at any other communities, they agree, even if they don't rock with everything they're doing. We already know that uh, they respect the Jews, right? The so-called white Jews. They respect the what is it? The ones with the little curls to the side of their head. Amish people, you know what I mean? They respect all of that, but our history is always spread out so thin. So look, let's have a conversation real quick. I was talking to a couple young men, and I was like, yo, what's up with Black History Month, man? What are y'all doing for Black History Month? They were like, shh. They didn't know. And they really didn't care, bro, because when you a kid and you taught that your family was slaves and this is what happened, you know, that's nothing to be proud of. And Rob, I don't know if you remember that topic I did was, does the history, how does history play the play with the pride of the people? If you got a pride for history, you don't have pride for people. And I think our people don't even want to even care. No, in 2025, and it's our job to teach them. And that's what I want to do today. I want to help them out. So let me ask you a question first, A-Rob. You know, you my man, bro. And you just like me. You try to get the information to the people. If you were talking to a child and they was like, well, they want to know their history, where would you tell them to start?
where I would tell them to start is, to be honest with you, first of all, I would feel like you need to know what fully your roots are, because the thing is, there's Black people that's gotten here that actually their ancestors wasn't slaves. They might have different history because I mean they might be Haitians and stuff like that, which the way they came over here might be different. Um, but if you are, figure out what it is, what your background is. Look at what your ancestry is. Look what you're mixed with. You know, look at all of that stuff. Your DNA. That'd be the first thing, because I mean, just because you're Black and you're here doesn't mean that you got here that way.
Yeah.
Um, but if you did but after you research it and you find out who your great grandparents are and stuff like that. For me, it was different. For me to find out about my ancestry, I could have just went to my grandmother, my mom's mom. It's because she was really big into us letting us know that, and also she was a Black activist in her town. And the thing is, she actually has a park named after her in her hometown.
Oh,
So
that's dope.
for me, I mean, I could just sit down and she can tell me, and she had, picture books, scrapbooks, and everything, and she wanted to make sure we knew who we were. You know what I'm saying? Because to be proud of who you are. But then there's also the other side that I have of my family that it's so funny. It's crazy that you mentioned it. That I have a picture. I'm gonna see if I can grab it from my cousin. It's a picture of my great grandfather. I mean, my grandfather when he was 17, with his grandmother, and it's a picture from I think it's like from the 60s or something like that, and it has family members that far back, and they were, if I'm not mistaken, they were one of the first. My grandfather's family were one of the first black people to create a form of a newspaper in Texas. Um, so, but for anybody, I feel like if you just research, you figure out what your ancestor is, and then go to I would just go to my great grandparents, my grandparents that's still alive, and that would be the start. But if they're not, I mean, I really don't know.
Okay, they said that it's echoing a little bit. Do y'all hear echo? Are we good?
I did.
All right, is it better now? How is my voice sounding?
Yeah, it
It's
sounds
all
a
better
little
now.
more
You're better
clear. I
now. You're better
heard
now.
it as
Okay,
well.
because I had to, my son must have turned the echo all the way up. I'm sorry, you guys. Let me redo this, man. Thank you guys for joining the Minnesota Cold Talk podcast. We had a little technical difficulties, but listen, you guys, this right here episode is so important for everybody, not just black people, for everybody. But it's really important to our youth because right now we up in age. You know what I mean? They don't know. The youth don't know what happened. I was speaking to a young girl at my job, and I was telling her about how in the 60s and the 50s and the 20s they had a black water fountain and a white water fountain. She couldn't believe it. She was like, "For real?" When I showed her, it blew her mind. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
it's not people want to forget. No, let's remember. You know what I mean? So it don't happen again. So I got a couple videos, but before I do that, Styles, I'm gonna undo your mic. Let's talk. If your kids came to you, it was like, um, who were we? Where we come from? They want to know about their history. Where would you start at? Where would you tell them to go look? How would you tell them? And thank you for everybody for joining too. Cinnamon, I see you. Danielle, I see you. Deveron, I see you. Thank you guys for joining. Please share the live.
Well, first and foremost, brother,
I'm sorry, I muted you on accident. My finger was fast
first,
with that,
okay,
boy. I'm cold with that.
first and foremost, I want to thank you for having me, man. I would have to say the most important thing I would have to say to my son is that we would have to sit down and read because we as a people, that's why basically lack knowledge of who we are and what we should have been or who we originally were because we don't read, so we don't know the ideas that we had created that these people had came and basically stripped us of and taken from us and took all the credit for. So you have to read, to actually read about who was and put a face to who you're reading about. Like a lot of people don't really know who they're being told about. So they feel like, okay, it's just a story. So history could go two different ways. It can go by what's a proven fact and what people have read about and what people have been taught, or we can go as far as back, or what I learned from my mother, what I learned from my great auntie, or what I learned from my grandparents was about this. We learned it from them, but to actually, to be able to teach someone, you always have to be able to show them, whatever you're talking about it's basically like, show them what you're saying. Be able to define who you're talking about. Okay, well, back in the day, let's say I'm born and raised in the Rondo community. I was born in 1983 in St. Paul, Minnesota, in a hospital that's not even here no more. So I would have to teach my son, like, okay, this hospital used to be located right here where this is, and the Rondo community was named after this, and it's based on this, about African American community in St. Paul. The first African American community in St. Paul. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but that we are the first African American community in this city, this capital
Wow.
city, Minnesota. So I guess to sum it all up, man, it's basically, enlighten your kids to read more. You know what I'm saying? And when you be able to teach them how to read and understand about what things are, they can really set on to it. Because if you go way, way, way back, they're only gonna know things that they seen growing up on TV. Like everybody knows the Malcolm X's, the Dr. Martin Luther Kings, the Harriet Tubman, the Rosa Parkses, but there were people around just as much as they were that no one has ever heard of. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's a fact.
And those are the people we want to take time to recognize. Like, we need to learn about the ones who were there, who nobody would ever expect. Like that person, that black lady who was on the bus right there when they arrested Rosa Parks. Her. You know what I'm saying? That's your great, great, great grandparent. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who we never had no knowledge of that was there at the time, but she's not acknowledged because she's not Rosa Parks.
Yeah,
You
that's
know
a
what I
fact.
mean? Like, so in order to teach history, we can't just separate it and always, don't get me wrong, we acknowledge these ones because that's who stood there for us. But there are still more people who were there at the time that have never been acknowledged or have never been heard of.
Hey, well, thank you for saying that. I got some pictures on the screen, and I want people to pay close attention to not just the color of the skin. I want you guys to look at their garments, look at their outfits. These are the people we need to tell our kids about. These are the
Right.
people who were here at the beginning. Um, these people right here was considered more. And what I want to do is I'm gonna go through each category of who these people were, and for the people who just joining, this is what we're talking about right here. The topic is who are Black Americans and where do we come from? The Negro slave, indigenous servants, Moors, Israelites, and Jews. Who were we? What were we called before we were called Black? Where's our nationality, our language, our religion? So, I want you guys to pay attention to this right here. I'm gonna go through a couple pictures. Um, I want you guys to pay close attention to these people. These are in the 1880s. Some of them is in the 1500s. A lot of these people, so we have something to be proud of, but like if we don't know, then you know, so we got to educate ourselves. So I'm gonna go through the first column. I got a couple of videos I want to play. Y'all cool with that? Y'all cool with that? All right. Let me play a couple videos.
There's statues of Moors and African people all over Europe to this day that you can see, but you got to go to museums to see them. They're very quiet about them. Saint Calogero was another patron saint of Italy. He was a black man, and there's black statues of this man all over Italy, and there's paintings of Saint Calogero all over Italy and Sicily. They worship this man in Sicily. They still have statues of many Moors up in Europe today. They have a statue of Saint Benedict that was made in the 1700s. There's another bust carving of Saint Gregory that's in a museum in Germany. So there's statues of Moors and African people all over Europe to this day that you can see, but you got to go to museums to see them. They're very quiet about them. You have to go over there. And also you have to learn about these things in different languages because they keep that history hidden because they'll put it in another language.
Okay, now let's talk about that for a minute. When he said we gotta study language because they would change the language. The word "Moor" is to steer or to navigate. They used to be called a land of the Moor, Morocco, the land of the Moors, or the land of the colors, the land of the blacks. It's the word Kemet. You know what I mean? So we got to know these things. So we got to teach our kids to understand this. We got to put the pride in our kids some way somehow. You know what I mean? And I think the only way we could do this is if we show them this history and let them get curious and find out who these people are. I want y'all to take a look at this picture I'm about to put on the side of the screen. Um, right here. This picture is very, very, very important. The picture right here to the right, I'm gonna run my cursor over it. You guys look at this picture right here. It says the black Africans who ruled Europe from 1711 to 1492. Now, why is that important? That's important because it's a part of missing history. Whose history? Our history as people, who we were. Shout out to Dominique. She's in the building. She said, "Peace, Dominique. I got a spot for you. For anybody that want to join, I do got a link. We're doing open topics after this, so the topics is open. So I will be sharing out the live. So this same time, we had a couple more videos, and I don't want to stay stuck too long. So our history is very Styles, A Rob, Riri. So when you want to talk to your kids and say, hey, where do they start? And they want to talk about Black history, tell them to start at 1711 to 1492. excuse me. Tell them to start there. It's a lot of information there for our people to know. So, hey, Rob, are you familiar with this information? Styles, y'all familiar with this information that I was just showing?
I am not.
No, y'all not? All right. How about you, Styles? Are you familiar with what I was just
Hey, my
showing?
mic is
No, I can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you, bro. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I don't got your mic on.
hey, Styles, we can hear you, bro.
I don't got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, we can hear you. All right. So I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna play the next video because I'm gonna try to make it quick. I don't want it to be too long, but I want you guys to catch the information. If you get what I'm saying. Um. So next video.
The Moors were considered Islamic people who took over much of the Iberian Peninsula and what is today Spain and Portugal. If you were as far south as, say, the West Africa now and North Africa, going over into what is the Middle East today, and you were of the Islamic faith, you would have been called a Moor at some point in time. Some people may have called you a Moor if they came in contact with you and interact with you. The Moors came into contact with the Iberian Peninsula in Spain in 711 and began their conquest there and stayed there for over 700 years. When they came, they established libraries and had thousands and thousands of manuscripts when it comes to mathematics and philosophy and history and art and architecture. And many people who studied under them from all over Europe took a lot of the information, took it back to their places in England and in Germany and France and places like that. Many people consider, when you look at the evidence, that the European Renaissance, the Renaissance that we talk about today, was really given a spark by the Moors, who were there with education well before the Renaissance started. Want to remember the Moors today.
Now, why is that important? That is important because it's showing history, bro. And this is what I'm trying to say. We don't have to agree on that word more, right? Because a lot of people say they are Christian. They say that they're Islamic. They say that, but you can't deny the fact that more means color or to steer or to navigate. And I'm gonna show you why that's important. I'm gonna play this video too. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna play this video. I'm sorry for going so fast through it, but I don't want to put people to sleep. You know, when you teaching and showing people new information, they either gonna get bored or go to sleep.
There
I
is
want
zero
to still
historical evidence that the term Moor was ever used interchangeably to describe either Arabs or Muslims. A Moor could also be a nobleman or even a Christian. Then what did it mean? Author Dave McRitchie wrote in response, any Latin dictionary, any old one at least, will tell you that the term Moros is a Moor, a blackamoor, or a tawny Moor. And Shakespeare uses the word Moor as a synonym for Negro. Jameson, in his Scottish dictionary, says of the word Moriarve, defined him as black, swarthy, resembling a Moor. From Johnson's, and it says Moor equals a Negro. In fact, you can just take a trip to your local museums to see statues like this, clearly labelled like this. St. Maurice, neither Arab nor Muslim. Simonetta de Collavecchio, the Moorish nobles on the Wildman tapestry, the half-Moor Alessandro de Medici, and even the Moors on the flag of Corsica and Sardinia. You will note that these are all black people who are not necessarily Muslim, Arab.
Now let's talk about it. Who are black people in America? Who are we? Where did our names come from? Why do they say black? Why did Malcolm X say X? Why it's a question that everybody needs to be asked. Why is our history and our where we come from so secretive? Why are people holding secret about this? I just don't understand. Like, everybody got their history. Why we don't got ours? So what I want to do is I want to open up the floor. So everybody, unmute your mic. Hold on, let me get Riri back up here. I want to okay, she up here. I want you guys to unmute your mic. Styles, your mic is unmuted. Y'all unmute your mic. Let's have a conversation real quick for what we just watched, because right now this podcast right now is about this topic right here. The topic: who are the Black Americans and where do we come from?
I'm not. I'm
Huh?
having a hard time hearing you outside of on my end, brother.
Okay. Hey, Rob, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, Styles, don't even worry about it. Bag out and just come back in. I'll bring you back up. Yeah, they bag out and come back.
I'm having a bit of a hard time hearing y'all on that end, brother.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can go to your settings real quick. Let's see if I can help you out. Oh no, you good. Yeah, you good, bro. Um, hold on. Let me get you. Let me
Okay.
do this. You
Can
good
y'all
now?
hear?
Okay,
Can
yeah,
y'all
we
hear
can hear
me?
you. Yeah.
Yeah, I was having a bit of a complication, man.
No, it's okay. Whenever you have a problem like that, bag out and then jump back in. I'll bring you up. But listen, so what I've been
Okay.
showing and what we've seen so far, do y'all want to comment on anything I just showed? You want me to play anything back? Are we good?
No, we good. I was just I was
You good? You
catching it, but
good?
then when I couldn't, I kind of lost sight of what was being said.
Dang, I can bring it back, man. I can definitely bring it back because I don't want nobody to miss this information.
Yeah,
Or you know what I mean? Because this right here is powerful. Uh, remember we said we gotta be careful because everything changed through language. Certain words mean certain things. A lot of
true,
people want to,
true.
a lot of religious people argue over the name of Jesus because there wasn't no J's in the English alphabet back then. So they want to know how can his name be that? You know what I mean? How can he
That's true.
translate that? So the word more, he just showed and proved why they called it that, and that was very important. But I got one more thing I want to show. Now we talked about the Moors. Let's talk about the Israelites. Are we Israelites? Why do we see the Israelite brothers on the corner? And why are they doing the things they're doing? And why are people arguing if we're Moors or if we're Israelites when they say that the Moors ruled Spain in the 1700s all the way up to the 1400s? That's amazing. I don't think y'all understand how much time that is. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
are we? So is it family fighting? What's going on here? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, let's go into the other one because we went through the Moors. Let's go into the Israelites and the Jews. Let's see how that is. I'm gonna share this right here. Let's go.
1960s, a remarkable community of Black Hebrew Israelites emerged in Israel, led by Ben Ami Ben Israel. They firmly believed that African Americans were descendants of the ancient Israelites. Faced with discrimination and seeking refuge from racial tensions in the United States, they settled in the Negev desert. Their arrival caused shockwaves as their practices and beliefs challenged traditional Jewish custom. Living by strict dietary laws, the Black Hebrew Israelites followed a vegetarian diet and abstained from caffeine and alcohol. Their community also emphasized self-sufficiency, building their own homes and cultivating organic crops. However, conflicts arose with the Israeli government, which questioned their authenticity and denied them citizenship. These tensions led to tense standoffs and legal battles that stretched over decades. Despite enduring hardship, the Black Hebrew Israelites managed to carve out their own unique identity in Israel. Today, they continue to thrive and work towards social acceptance while preserving their rich cultural heritage.
All right, let's talk about it. Um, who want to go first? Who want to go first? Hold on. Go ahead, Styles. You got it.
I'm actually seeing a comment of a young lady on here. That's about her opinion on that we don't know our Black history because when you cut off the head, we're left not knowing who you are, and it makes it easier to infiltrate the Black mind.
Shout out to Cinnamon, man. She's in the building, man.
Yeah,
Cinnamon.
shout out to her because she makes a very, very, very good point, man. And I would have to agree with that because, over time, we have definitely been stripped of our knowledge of knowing who we are, because the access to being able to learn about who we are, which goes back to what I said, read. If you go back to the beginning of the time, they destroyed books, they destroyed history, and they rewrote it, and put they name and image on it and patent it to make it seem like it's their knowledge that we're learning, that but yeah, so much has of our ethnic background, of our culture, of our descent has been tainted, man, that it's really hard to teach our kids true history about who we are. You know what I mean? Because some of us are really truly, it doesn't matter who you are in age right now. Like some of us are still learning who we are or beginning to know. Like don't not everybody knows if I'm making sense by what I'm saying. And some of us are just in that process, man, of beginning to know more about who we truly are and what we come from, where we come from.
Do you and I want to this is for everybody on the panel. Do you guys believe that we're going through this because us as a people can't agree? we can't agree to who we are. And I'm gonna give you guys just a little thing of what I'm saying, right? And shout out to all the Black Israelite brothers. Shout out to all the Morris brothers, all the Christian brothers, the Israel,
Muslims, the
the
Sunnis.
Muslim brothers.
Yeah.
So if you guys look at this picture to the right, where I'm circling right here,
Yeah.
y'all see the different color.
Yeah.
Now look at these people. Look at the color, right? Now
That's
look at
good.
them and look at their color.
Yeah.
Now people gonna say, man, it's all the same because they all black. No, these are different Black Israelite camps.
Yeah.
And they go ahead. What you about to say?
You got the olive complexion. You got the olive skin complexions. And
Yeah.
then, you got the dark skin complexions.
Yep. And why I'm showing you guys this is why I feel like it's a big deal is because our people can't come together and agree on who we are. What are we? Even like I was talking about earlier, you don't see the white Christians arguing with the white Jehovah Witnesses or the white Amish people or the white Jews or nothing. They all agree and they respect what each other want to do, and they come together when they have to come together. These brothers right here are all Israelites. All of them. All of these brothers right here are Israelites, but they do not agree with one another's camp. They just don't. They argue within each other. The ICO or ICU something from New York might be beefing with the ones in California, and they're fighting over this history. It's important to them. I understand that, but we have to draw the line somewhere and say, hey, you can raise your kids and give them this understanding, but there's got to be a point to where we agree that, hey, this is our history. You know what I mean? And we got to move on, but we can come together. If I want to say thank you to everybody who been following the Facebook page, DeMarcus Solo Ford. We almost got 5,000 followers. We need 5,000 followers. We can get that. I can get ads. If I can get ads, we can do more gatherings and coming together. We bringing the brothers together. The women, y'all already together. Hey, Styles, talk to me. Hey, Rob, talk to me. The women, they can get together right now, cry, drink their little wine. You know what I mean? They can express their feelings and then grow. Men, we can't do that, man. We smoke a blunt, get mad, and forget about it, and wake up and be mad all over again, bro. We got to come to the line, bro, and say, okay, listen, we got to respect these brothers for wanting to follow that way. We got to respect these brothers for wanting to follow this way. And we got to talk about the history. Now, let's move on, y'all. Let's just move on. I got another video. Let's talk about the indigent servant.
Yes.
Hold on, let me bring it back. Hold on, let me bring it back. I'm going to bring it back real quick.
Yeah.
Simply one form of booty to be taken from the Spanish. Nevertheless, those first black arrivals at Jamestown were not enslaved immediately. Rather, they were assimilated into that singular institution known as indentured servitude for a term of years improvised by the Virginia Company from the child labor laws of Elizabethan England.
I'm going to bring this one back.
The Elizabethan period was hard on the poor in England. With idlers everywhere, it was generally thought that the cure-all for poverty was work, forced labor if necessary. In this situation, in 1562, 45 years before the founding of Jamestown, Parliament borrowed from the guild system in London, where it was customary for youngsters to be apprenticed to a craftsman, to learn a trade under an indenture between the craftsman and the parents. Negroes were considered...
And now let's talk about this. Before I bring it back, I want y'all to wake up first. Everybody wake up. Please share this live. This is a Black History Talk for the Minnesota Cold Talk podcast. I don't know if y'all sleeping on what just said, but you have to pay attention. When we first stated that in 1711, the Moors, before they went over to Europe, they ruled it. Did y'all remember hearing that? But then in the 1500s, they were so poor, they had to use indigent service to teach them a trade where they can make money, right? Y'all hear this, right?
Yeah.
Am we making sense? Now,
You definitely making sense.
Now listen to this. If the Moors ruled Spain for over 800 years, and if the Moors ruled the Moors ruled over there at England from 1700 to the 1400s, what happened between the 1400s and the 1500s? What happened?
That's a good question.
Well, where that history at? Why that gap? Where that 100 years go? And what happened?
That's a really good question.
Come on,
And
hey Rob, why don't you meet your mic, baby? Let's talk, man. Come on, we got to talk about this. We got to talk, baby. Come on, it's Black History Month, man. We only got what? We only got 5 more days and it's over. They only gave us 28.
man,
Look,
did
yeah, so let's talk. Unmute y'all mics. What happened from 1711 to 1400? What happened? No, get back here, A Rob. Come
hey,
on.
yeah, you blacked out on us, hey Rod. You don't. You
Yeah,
can't
we
do
gotta
it
talk.
like that, man.
We gotta talk about this. Where the brothers at, man?
I
Where is?
think
Go ahead. Go ahead, Styles.
I think that right. That time frame was the reason, like people finding themselves. You got to understand what you said. They ruled, and then they went broke. You understand what I'm saying? So, what happens when people in the world have money or they have quote unquote everything and they got life together and they just go flat broke or they down bad? You don't see them. You know, you
You know
don't
what?
see them because you don't really know what's going on. And in that process, they might be taking time to rebuild or to restructure. But the trade, like you said, with them teaching young kids to be craftsmen,
Yes,
that
sir.
was because so they could teach them to rebuild.
Where with the color at though? Come on, y'all. I'm about to get big. We about to Hey,
And
we can go into 10:30 tonight. I'm going crazy tonight, and I want y'all because I want them to get this information style. Like they don't
man,
understand. On the screen right now, do y'all see? I'm about to circle it. It says 711 to 1492.
that's
The
a
blacks, the blacks ruled Europe. Come
that's a
on, man.
time, man.
That's a long time. But
And
something happened. What is this?
they
What happened?
divided us.
What happened to these people? What happened to this man right here? Saint Maurice, the black man that whose mummy is still in Africa to this day. What
Yeah,
happened, y'all? We
yeah,
gotta talk about this because if
yeah.
y'all, I'm gonna play this video back one more time. I want y'all to really go get your sons. Go get your 14-year-old,
You, you,
13-year-old
you
sons.
know, I listened to you when they said something about Jamestown, and I
Yeah.
you know that in a Rondo community there is a building and apartments named after
Jamestown. Fact.
that one specific town, Jamestown.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like that right there, it just raises your antennas. Like it's history. Like where did the
Bruh.
name ever come from? You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
nobody knew where the name came from, and
It's
just
like,
by taking the opportunity to be on, the podcast tonight and learn that bit of history right there, it's already taken
yo, this is what we got to do, Styles. There's two things we trying to accomplish tonight. For one, we're trying to save lives, bro. Listen, bro. We made it. We made it. We still here. You know what I mean? So now our whole goal is got to be to save the youth. Yo, listen, y'all. You got to know who you are. You got to know, and this is going to play a part of your pride of who you are. But if we're arguing amongst each other, if we're this religion or we're that religion, or we're the Moors, or we're the Israelites, or we're the Jews, or we're this, whatever, it don't matter. As long as we know that comes from our bloodline, you know what I mean? Then we can paste it together how we want to. Listen to what I'm saying. If you got a 13-year-old child, 15, 14, 9, 18-year-old child, go get them right now, right? Before it's too late, and sit them down in front of this computer and let me show them something before they go out and try to follow behind something stupid and die in the streets. Because the only place our kids are dying right now is in the streets. And I'm not talking about on the corner over there on 45th and whatever. No, I'm talking about when they find them dead, when the ambulance pull up, they be in the street, bro. You feel what I'm saying to you? So what we got to do is we got to show them this information right now. Show them this. Hey, listen, this is who y'all is. You running behind this is crazy. I want everybody to tune in Wednesday. Our show Wednesday is going to be Black History Month talk. What did our community the most damage? Was it the music or was it the TV, the videos? What contribute to the downfall of our people? Was it the media or was it the music? We're gonna have that talk, and I'm gonna show y'all why we're gonna have that talk. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give you guys a snippet. I'm gonna give you guys a quick snippet for our Wednesday show, I need you guys to get the young kids, the kids that like Dora the Explorer, the 7, 8-year-old babies, the 7 to 8-year-old babies. I want you guys to see what they used to show the kids back in the day. Watch this, man. I want to show you how they used to program us. I gotta skip past this. I'm gonna get flagged though. Look what they were showing our babies. Who we were. This is in the 20s. We didn't have Dora back then. Let me pause this. I want to talk to y'all. We didn't have Dora to look up to. This is who they say our people was. Beating on drums. This is what they were playing in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. Pay close attention to the brainwashed media. Oh, look at the lip, look at the neck, look at the culture of black people. And that's what they used to laugh at. This is what they were programming in our kids' head. And we're gonna talk about a lot of this. Please, I want y'all to come join. I want you guys to come join our show on Wednesday. I'm gonna show y'all what they did with the media and the music. A part of the program and why people don't want to be called. Hey man, I don't want to say I'm from Africa. Back in the day, they used to call people African booty scratchers, and people would want to fight, bro. And this is the 80s. You call somebody African booty scratcher, they'll be ready to thump. You feel what I'm saying to you? But let's keep the show going. Please go get your kids, go get your nieces, your nephews, save their life, man. Because what happens is people wait too long, and then when they contact me, they be like, man, Solo, my niece died, my nephew died, they got hit with a stray bullet, or they got shot, they got robbed, or they tried to rob somebody, they shot somebody, and they're in jail. We need your help. I need you to talk to them. You know what I mean? If you want me to talk to your kids, go get them right now, so we can have this conversation. I got two powerful brothers on here and a sister on here that can definitely talk to the kids. It's important. Shout out to Miss Ann Pritchard, man. If y'all don't know who she is, y'all gotta follow her. She is an actor, model, a songwriter. She's a beautiful person, man, and she's been in Minnesota for a long time. She remembered the segregated days where you only could drink on one water fountain and not the other one. I got one more video, you guys. Matter of fact, I'm gonna play this one back. We gotta play this one. I'm gonna play this one back one more time for the people who just joined in. Please listen to what they said in this video. Pay close attention and see what indigent serving is. Please.
Negroes were considered simply one form of booty to be taken from the Spanish. Nevertheless, those first black arrivals at Jamestown were not enslaved immediately.
You hear it?
Rather, they were assimilated into that singular institution known as indentured servitude for a term of years improvised by the Virginia Company from the child labor laws of Elizabethan England.
Let's talk about it.
The Elizabethan period was hard on the poor in England. With idlers everywhere, it was generally thought that the cure-all for poverty was work, forced labor if necessary. In this situation, in 1562, 45 years before the founding of Jamestown, Parliament borrowed from the guild system in London, where it was customary for youngsters to be apprenticed.
I'm gonna pause that. I'm gonna pause that right now, and I want to talk to you guys on the panel. Did you guys hear what they said? They said it was so broke down and ran down, they had to borrow from England, bro. And do I gotta bring this picture right here back? Y'all know who was running England around that time, right? Huh? Who were they getting this money from? Who were these people, these nobles? Who were they getting this money from? Okay, let's hold on.
Hey, so I'm not familiar with that. Who was it?
I'm gonna show you right here. Y'all see these people right here? These are the people who they were borrowing this money from. Now remember, they said this was the 1500s. These are the people. You see these banners right here?
Yeah.
This says right here, African king in the 16th century, Italy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So look, these are the people who they're talking about. These people right here, these right here are called crest. If you don't know who crest is, this is for the young kids that's watching. A crest is back in the day where your family would have their a picture, a flag of who family rules this land. And this crest right here with this band. Hold on, let me mute your mic one time, South. This picture right here that you see, this is a family crest. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna show y'all what other family crest look. This right here is a family crest, and let them know who runs this right here. You know what I mean? So when you see these crests, and you see things like this right here, or this right here, these are families that ran the land. That's what that means. That's when you see that word crest and who running it. So these people was running it. They had to ask these people in England, how did they lose power? Let's talk about it.
Trade under an indenture between the craftsmen and the parents for a term of years. Negroes were considered simply one form of booty.
If you don't know what the word booty is, we ain't talking about something that's fat and jiggly. So I want y'all to look up these words. I try to keep
Hey, can I stop? Can I say something real quick before we get on this?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's talk. It's open topic.
I mean, this is the thing too, though. I want to make sure we say this too, because this is something that gets overlooked. Is that you were saying that the first set of Africans that got here were the 1600s? That's not actually true, because the first.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that, and it didn't say that neither. The video, and on the video it didn't say that, Rob. It said the people that first it said when they first was here, from when they came over here and traveled, they wasn't slaves. That's what it said.
Right.
It
Because
didn't-
they came in
it-
the 1490s.
Yeah, I'm about to say it didn't say the 1600s. The 1600s is just when they took full control over everything from where they was at to here. That's all that was. My bad if you misunderstood that one. But no, they came earlier, way earlier than that.
Yeah, and probably one of the people that brought him up here it's not actually confirmed, but one of the people that were involved in that they believe was Christopher Columbus, because they originally came from the island of Hispaniola, but now the country that's called Haiti.
Yeah, but Christopher Columbus came in the 1500s. That's why that's false. And that's why I say we have to play history. I don't know if you're looking at your computer screen right now, but if you look at when Christopher Columbus came here, Christopher Columbus came to America as a slave, as an indentured servant, looking for work. That's what he was trying to do. He was trying to impress the king. You know what I mean? That's why we got a day in America where they had to fight for their freedom. You get what I'm saying to you? They fought for their freedom in America. So when Christopher Columbus came over here, it was black Irishmen that was here with him. It was people from Ireland that was with them. There was indentured service. It was Negroes or Africans or blacks or Moors, whatever you want to call them. They were all working. They was all trying to find work, bro. And that was before Christopher Columbus. But if you want to go 100 years or 500 years before Christopher Columbus, we have to talk about the great king Mansa Musa. His brother was the first Musa to leave West Africa to come to South America. Yes. He took over 300,000 boats or 30,000 boats or something with animals and everything. He came to America. And how do we know that they made it to the Americas? It's because when Christopher Columbus came 500 years later, the people greeted him. Yep. They greeted him and they thought he was God, bro.
That's the fact.
And the gifts that the so-called indigenous people of America gave them were arrows. They gave them arrows with gold tips. And they asked them, where did you guys get this? They said from the blacks. Mm-hmm. So we got it. That's why I said, don't worry about it, A-Rob. We're going to touch all around the board, baby. You thought we were done? Oh, no, we ain't done. Matter of fact, let me hit this right here for you guys. I want y'all to pay close attention to this video. Yeah, we're going on, y'all. We might go to 10:30 tonight, y'all. Don't tell them what we might do. Please pay close attention to this video.
If you say black people sold their own into slavery, you're falling for a colonialist lie. Here's why. The idea that all Africans were one people is a European concept. The reality? Africa is massive, home to thousands of cultures, languages, and ethnic groups. A tribe in West Africa didn't see themselves as the same as a tribe hundreds of miles away. They weren't selling their own. They were selling outsiders, prisoners of war. Let's flip the script. If Ireland invaded Poland, would you say they were attacking their own people just because both are white? No? Then why do people say that about Africa? Because white supremacy flattens every African culture into one label: black.
Let's talk about it. I told y'all I wasn't playing no games today. Yeah, I'm not playing no games today. Today is Black History Talk. You guys, please go get your kids. Sit them
So
in front of the
prison,
TV.
the prisoners of war.
That's a fact, and that's why we got a POW flag to this day. Yo, we got to know this information. And let me tell y'all something, right? Because they do hide the information.
Of course,
They erase it,
I know
burn
that.
books, and everything. But what you can't burn is the thing that's already set in stone. Like I don't care if your great grandmother was white. I don't care if your great great grandmother was black. Somebody in your family is proud of who they was, and they kept documents. Now, I want to show you guys something.
Well, certainly.
I want to show you guys something, and we can open talk, you guys. We can talk about whatever. The conversation is over. It's open right now.
Yeah,
But I want to
because
show y'all something. Y'all see these beautiful women right here?
yeah.
All right, let's keep going down. Let's see what's more of them. What they looking like. Let's keep going. They keep going. Look at these. They have his body. This guy right here, his body is still in Europe right now. They got it mummified. They respect him and they loved him. Look at this. What happened when the Moors used to get off the boats? Y'all see what? Look at his clothing. Let me mute you real quick, Styles. You got a little echo, but I'm gonna unmute you, so don't worry about it. Now, if you guys take a closer look at the clothes, I wish I could bring it in a little closer. You take if you take a closer look at his boots, look at what these guys. This is his slave, his indigent servant right here. You see what he's holding for him? Look at his wine glass. Look at him, and look at his guards watching over him. And this is his crest right here on this shield. I wish they would have showed it. And you see the little boy holding his cloak. Look at his feet. You get what I'm saying to you? Now, if you look at movies like Aladdin, and you look at other certain type of movies like that, you will see the characters was kind of dressed alike. They was dressed like these people right here. Where did they get this information from? These pictures and these paintings are on the walls of a lot of European castles. So I want you guys to pay a close attention to this. Look at this, you guys. You see this man right here? Look at this. Do this picture right here look familiar to you guys? Look at this. I want y'all to pay close attention to what I'm showing y'all, because this right here is a part of our history. Why are we called black? Where did that come from? Where do black come from, you guys? Why not? And hold on, let me unmute you, Styles. Why they gave us the term black? We blacked out of history. Why did they take that from us? Why do they? Hold on, somebody put a laughing emoji. Listen, y'all, this ain't nothing to be laughing about. This is all serious. I know I might tell a joke every now and then, but this is serious. Why are we called black? Where did that come from? Where do black Americans come from? Where the word Negro come from? Why do they call us that? Have any of y'all ever wondered that?
Yeah, most certainly. But black in that terminology in the dictionary was like the color of death, a dye. You know what I mean? Color. Like that's how they looked at us. Like, we was just not normal, because there was a meaning for white, I believe, back in civilization, that black people weren't to be civil. So like black was just a label, you know what I mean? Basically meaning that we weren't civilized. We were opposite of who they are or who they were.
Okay. Hey Rob, you want to speak on it?
Oh no, I'm listening.
Okay. Then we can move on. We can move on to our next conversation. I wanted to talk for a minute, and I want y'all to unmute y'all mic. We got open topic, you guys. So let's talk. If we see that legally, and in their treaties that it was legal to have indigent servants, but you had to let them go after a while, and their kids could not be born into slavery. Do y'all remember that video that I played?
Yeah.
They said it was legal to be an indigent servant. Hey, Styles, I'm gonna come work for you for 5 years, right? After 5 years, after all the work I put in, all you got to do is you got to give me some land, you got to give me some cattle, so I can take care of my family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we move on, and that's how we used to do it. So what happened to America? What happened between 1430 to 1500? What was the big change? Who lost power? What happened to the point where the whole world just shut down and then all of a sudden a whole line of history that disappeared? What happened between 1430 to the 1500s? What happened in that little space of time that they're not telling us about? And now we're called black, and it's okay to be slaves, and it's okay for my family kids to be born in slavery. That is an offense, and that is a world crime, right? It's a world governing crime.
I think the big question. That's what everybody's trying to figure out. What happened in that big gap of time for that transition? What transpired for us being kings and queens and them being somewhat as servants to us being slaves and them being slave masters and slave owners.
Well, yeah, that too. And so, have anybody ever tried to bring America up on charges for what they did to the so-called Negro? Is there anybody that in history that we could think of? Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey, Booker T. Washington. Is there anybody that we could think of who said, "Hey, what you guys did to the Negro slaves was wrong. It's okay to have slaves, but to beat them and hang them and do all of that to them, that's not right." And then y'all, not only if they're only y'all having them slaves for 20 years, 30 years, and y'all putting their kids in slavery. That's not right. That is a world crime. The whole world agreed to have indigent servants, and then the way y'all did them was bogus. Y'all didn't do the so-called they didn't do the other immigrants that came over here like that. Who was one of them? The Irish. They didn't do them like that. They let them go. Why did y'all put your feet so hard on the Negroes so bad, the Moors so bad, the Israelites? Why did y'all do them like that? And where can we find out in history that a man was brave enough to bring them up on charges? Did it ever happen?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it did. Let's watch the video. Let's see what happened and who was this man that was brave enough to talk about it. Please, you guys, listen to what's about to happen.
Involved in this country.
Are you prepared to go into the United Nations at this point and ask that charges be brought against the United States for its treatment of American Negroes?
Oh, yes. Please. I think you're right.
I'm about to stop that right there.
One more time, man. One more time. You got to go with that. One more time, man.
Hold on, hey, Ralph, can you hold on? What just happened? Let me bring that back one time. I'm gonna bring that back.
Ask that charges be prepared to go
Against the injustices that our people are involved in this country.
Are you prepared to go into the United Nations at this point and ask that charges be brought against the United States for its treatment of American Negroes?
Oh, yes. Please. I think you're right in my chair. The audience will have to be quiet. Yes, as I pointed out when I was during
the United States for its treatment of American Negroes.
And fight against the injustices that our people are involved in this country.
Are you prepared to go into the United Nations at this point and ask that charges be brought against the United States for its treatment of American Negroes?
Oh, yes. Please. I think you're right in my chair.
I'm gonna mute that. Why didn't nobody know about that? Who knew about that in here? Come on, y'all. Who? Did nobody know about that, huh? Why did they kill Malcolm X? Why did Malcolm X die, bro? Like, why did they take that man's life? You know what I mean? Could America wouldn't have never ever been able to beat those charges because it is a world sanction that everybody agreed to. Every country agreed to, hey, we can have indentured service, but this is how you're supposed to treat them. You're supposed to let them go. You're supposed to give them land. So let's bring that back. Malcolm X said, yes, he is going to bring America up on charges for what he did. He said, can you share the link? Hold on, no, listen. Andrea, don't do me like that, mama. Hey, share this video with us talking. Tell them if they want the information, come check out the Minnesota Cold Talk podcast, baby. Tell them that. Because listen, Malcolm X had balls to go in front of the news people after he just got back from Africa and said that he's going to bring America up on charges for what they did to the slaves. What happened at that? What did he say after that? Y'all want to watch it? Let's watch it and then let's talk about it. We don't want to drag it on.
The audience will have to be quiet. Yes, as I pointed out when I was during my traveling, that nations look, African nations and Asian nations and Latin American nations look very hypocritical when they stand up in the United Nations condemning the racist practices of South Africa and that which is practiced by Portugal and Angola, and saying nothing in the UN about the racist practices that are manifest every day against Negroes in this society. Even in South Africa, those Africans aren't faced with bayonets and aren't faced with police dogs. I would be not a man. If I was in a position to bring it in front of the United Nations and didn't do so, I wouldn't be a man.
Malcolm, do you intend to lead the charge in the United Nations?
Well, I find that to say you're going to lead something creates a lot of hostility, division, jealousy, and envy. I hope to work with any group of leaders or any group of organizations to do whatever is necessary to see that this problem is brought before the United Nations.
Have you had any commitment from any nations in Africa to support you in such a move?
I would rather not say at this time. But one thing I found in my travels, all of them look upon us as their long-lost brother.
You realize the implication is that you have had such commitments when you say.
This is your interpretation of what I said. One thing that I found in all of my travels was that all of the Africans, not only the Africans, but the Asians and the Muslims, look upon us as their long-lost brothers.
Oh, my goodness. Did you hear what he just said? When did Malcolm X die? He died a couple months after that. Assassinated. I want to show you guys what happened to Malcolm X, right? When did Malcolm X die? He died a couple months after that, y'all. That's early 2000. That's early February 1965. That interview was done in late 1964. He was dead months after that. So I want to be clear when I say this, right? And we can open up the show to other topics now. That the only reason we don't know history and the only reason history ain't been talked about is because we can't come together as a people and talk about it. If we know what happened in the 1700s, and we know what happened before the 1700s, anything after that is Bible days, BC, things like that. And then if we can go into the Bible and find out who the people of God that they were talking about in these so-called books or these Dead Sea Scrolls or these Egyptian Book of the Dead, we got to go into all these religions. If we can go in there and find a landmass that they're talking about and see if we could connect it somehow to what they were talking about, then we might have something. But until we can come together as people, sisters, brothers, and sit down and have this conversation and say, hey, we need to put our history in order of what happened. Right now, we from Minnesota, and Minnesota is split up through St. Paul, East Side, West Side, Selby Side, North Side, the highs, the lows, South Side. You know what I mean? And even though it's Minnesota, it's separated like that. I know people that live on the East Side and they come on certain side of towns. You know what I mean? We still have this type of like trap or this type of like chains on us to the point where we don't even want to get out from nowhere. Man, I know people in Minnesota who never left Minnesota. I'm from Rock Island, Illinois. I know a lot of my people right now in Rock Island never left Rock Island, bro. They never left it. They don't even know what's outside of that. They believe anything people tell them. They don't even want to search and do their own work. So what I want to tell everybody who's watching this show and respect what we're talking about, please don't take my word for anything. Because we're having an open discussion. Could you please look at the information I gave you guys and go look it up yourself? And after you get done looking it up, can you please come back and let's have a conversation about it? Because I would love to learn more information. I'm not teaching right now. I'm just showing you guys the information that's out there that people is overlooking. But steady want to be called black and get mad that we only get 28 days out of a month and our people are still getting killed and destroyed. The government will pass a law that if you hurt any Asian American at all, it's considered a hate crime, and black people are still being hung, murdered, in broad daylight on camera, and it's not considered no hate crime. And to me, that's ridiculous. And the only reason they get away with that is because we're not backing each other. You know what I mean? We got open mics. Andrea, if you guys want to come in, let me know. I'm about to post a link in the Facebook. We got open topics, you guys. Let's talk about it, man. How y'all feel about what I've been showing, man? Styles, how you feel? A-Rob, how you feel?
Hey
Riri,
man, listen.
yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm here.
No, we can hear you. How y'all feel so far about the show tonight, man?
You know, first and foremost, man, I feel grateful for anyone, you know, putting themselves out on this platform, you know, to try to enlighten them people with the knowledge that we need. You know what I'm saying? To put the story out into the world, brother. So, you know, I'm grateful for you. To be a part of this here, you know, it's and I look forward to, you know, some more in the future. So, you know, I'm definitely here. You have my support.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for joining too, man.
Yes.
It's important to get us, bro, where we come from. It's important to get us on here. You know what I mean? So we can talk to the people. Not only that though, we don't only talk about stuff like this, man. We got a relationship topic that's gonna go crazy. The women gonna be mad over that. We got a lot of topics, but we got to take advantage of our month. This is the month for our people that they gave us. We got to take advantage of it. You know what I mean? I'm about to post a link to the StreamYard in the chat right now. So if anybody watching and you want to join with information or anything, please click that link and come on up right now. We got it open.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Hey Rob, you good?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm just taking it in. I like I said, it's like Black History Month. I mean, there's nothing wrong with trying to inform your people of what's going on. There's no problem with informing about people what's going on, educating them. Like you said, there's a lot of people that really don't know where they're from. They really don't know their roots. And sometimes somebody has to reach out and be a teacher. You never know. Hopefully, what you just explained to somebody might reach somebody to make them want to know more about where they're from. I mean, sometimes knowing where you're from can teach you better about where you're going to be as a person for some.
Why do you think people don't even like? Why do you think people overlook this information? Do they feel like, how do this pertain to them in 2025? You think they thinking like that?
I feel like, in this time, it's so much stuff that where people believe, what the internet is everything. The internet pretty much takes over everything. People don't pick up books. People don't watch the news no more. People don't want to find out their history. If they ain't on TikTok, it ain't true, in this generation, I think that it's a lot of times with the generation of our generation, I feel like our generation sometimes have let go of teaching history. So this younger generation now don't know nothing. I don't think they just don't know nothing for knowing nothing. I think it's because, our generation didn't really do a good job of teaching them those values and those lessons of who they were and where they're from. I mean, everything stems from somewhere, but also at the same time, I do feel like, I get it from all aspects. I feel like, I think people are so worried about themselves and what they got going on and what's going on current, and they don't really think that nothing in the past really affects them.
Hold on real quick. Hey, stop. I'm gonna mute your mic a little bit. We got a lot of feedback. So I'm gonna unmute you in a little bit. Okay, he backed out. All right. Yeah. Hey Rob, man.
I mean, because a lot of these crimes that's happening, like this one that happened the other day with this kid that was getting into it with that one guy and he ended up killing a guy and he ended up going to jail. Like, that stuff been going on before I was even born, where black people have tried to defend themselves and they've gotten looked at like they were guilty. I mean, it's just a lot of things, man. I think but there's so many different levels to Black history where you can take it. I mean, this is where you took it. I mean, I could have took it to where, we talked about the struggles that Muhammad Ali went through in his boxing career.
Facts.
I mean, there's that. I mean, there's many different directions that you can go. You can go to you can even go to the history of hip hop. And you know what I'm saying? That's like one of the big things in Black history, man, because that's one of the really big musics of our culture,
Yes, sir. Yes,
There's
sir.
so many different directions you can go, and that's why I'm saying I support, whatever history you can teach somebody, because a lot of people don't understand all of that stuff. They only understand what they know is now, you know. So, it's a good thing. I mean, you keep it up. I mean, I don't really feel like it should just be February where we should have these conversations. These
Yeah,
things should
fact.
be all year round.
Yeah, and you're right. This is we shouldn't worry about the school teaching our kids this. This is something we got to feel proud about and teach our kids. I taught my daughter them this. I'm gonna teach my son this. You know what I mean? Because I want them to know, like, hey man, our history is something special. And you gotta respect it, bro. Not only that, bro, we got a lot of stuff to be proud of, bro. There's a
Right.
lot of people right
But
now. Oh, go ahead.
but I'll say this too, though. I mean, this is just in general. I mean, this is Black History, but I want to say this in general. I think every culture should do that with their culture. Some cultures, a lot of cultures that don't, because there's some Native Americans that don't know their history. I mean, they've got their own type of history. There's all types. I think everybody should. I don't want it to always be focused on Black people are not just doing it. There's other races that are not doing it as well.
Well, when it comes to America, every race is doing it, but Black people.
Nobody should be ashamed of not knowing what they should know.
Yeah,
You know,
and
our
we should.
people got a lot of problems,
Well, because there's
egotistical and the pride issue. Like, don't be
Fact.
ashamed of what you don't know. You know what I mean?
No.
Like they say, if you don't know something in life, ask a question. That's the
Yeah,
learning
fact.
process.
But
You
this
know
is the
what I
other
mean?
part. This is the other part too with that. This is why I kind of disagree with that, because I know a lot of people that are full blown Mexican that don't speak one drop of Spanish.
Yeah, but they
Oh
still got
yeah,
Cinco.
yeah, that's
But hold
true.
on, listen. But look though, they still got Cinco de Mayo. You get what I'm saying to you?
Right, but they don't understand Cinco de Mayo because they don't even know that. I know Mexicans out here right now that are full blown Mexican that
Right.
never seen their people in Mexico, don't even reach out to their people. There are other races that do that that are not doing that.
But check this out though, right? Right now, if we got to deport somebody from Mexico, if we got to deport a Mexican, where we gonna deport them to?
We're gonna take them to Mexico.
Okay, if we're gonna deport a person from Asia that's in America, where we gonna deport them to?
Asia.
How about a European, a white man? If we got to deport them, where we gonna deport them to?
Europe.
Okay, if we're gonna deport a Black African American, where are we gonna deport them to?
Well, that's different. I mean, you can. I mean, but this is the thing, though. But this is the thing with that. It's like what I'm saying too is that if like there's people that are here that are Mexican, full blown Mexican, but they're American and they won't get deported. There's That's Africans that are here that are not here legally, and they'll go back to Africa if they get deported.
But you know what though? They know where they're going, because right now, if you ask a local African where they from, they're not gonna say Africa. They're gonna say I'm from Ghana.
Right.
I'm from Cameroon. I'm from Nigeria. They know where they're from. So I'm gonna ask you this question again. This is for everybody on the panel. If you have to deport a Black African American to anywhere on earth, where are you going to deport them?
But what I'm telling you too is that there are people that are Latin American that are mixed with different stuff and don't know if they're gonna go to Mexico, they're gonna go to Honduras, they don't know if they're gonna go, they don't know where they're gonna go.
Well, like I said, everybody who got attachment on their name can be deported to that place. Asians are going to Asia. Europeans are going to Europe. People from Guatemalans, they're going to that place. Mexicans going to Mexico.
But most people that can be labeled, they're labeled as Latino. But the thing is, that don't mean that they're gonna go to Mexico. They can go to Belize. They go to any other place.
But what do Belizean people call themselves? You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say. Everybody has a place on this earth but us, and that's not right, bro. Because you just said that. You talk to somebody who believes it, they're gonna tell you I'm Belizean. They're gonna tell you.
But I'm saying the thing is, we don't know our history, but there's other races here that don't know their history.
But they know they're Belizean. They know they're Latin. They know
all
it.
of them do though.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I do agree with A-Rod to a degree, because there are people. That's why I think it's important that we know our history and be able to do a family tree all the way back. Because you said even for Asian people, where they gonna go Asia? There's so many Asian countries.
Like
Which one?
Just name three countries
Thailand,
real
the
quick.
Philippines,
And you know what?
China.
Hold on.
You know,
Listen, you just answered the question, Mama. They're gonna tell you I'm from Thailand. Or they're gonna tell you I'm from the Philippines. I'm Filipino. They're gonna tell you this. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. They're gonna tell you like this, right? The continent of Africa is the biggest place in the world, bro. So even if they say, okay, we're gonna send African Americans to Africa, bro, it's Egypt, it's
yeah. So like which
Morocco, it's
country
so
in
many
Africa?
they
So
tell you
which
what country.
country? So it's like you can't loop everybody together. I get what you're
That's what I'm
saying too,
saying.
Solo. I get what you're saying, but I think
Yeah,
what's most important to like pull those two together is knowing your history
That's my
completely.
point.
It's
yeah,
not the
fact.
fact that if I get deported, where am I going? But
That's the
also
point.
it's I have children, so where are we going in the future?
Yeah.
Right? So we have to know also like where do we come from? A lot of us don't know what our last names come from,
Well,
right?
that's why
They come from our slave owners. Where are
yeah.
they from? And who was before them? And what was my last name before it was my last name? A lot
Yeah,
of us don't
Oh
know
man,
that
say
piece of
that, man.
history.
fact.
I
And
like
that's
the
what's
way I like the
important.
way you
Exactly.
I like the
And
way
what
you
Exactly.
speak.
and what we got to do to find this information, you guys. I said this on our first podcast that we had about this. It's very important to find out who your people was, your grandmother, your great grandmother. So what happens is I got all the way to 1840, right, with my great grandfather. My 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 father's father's mother. She was born in 1909, right? Her father, when she had her, was 40 years old in 1909. So once I get his death certificate, I can get his birth certificate, and I can find out who his parents was. Now, a lot of information through history in America will be lost, because a lot of the so-called Native Americans were given the right to be called colored, right, and to leave their place and come to where we was at, and a lot of them did that, and a lot of so-called Europeans, which were called $5 Indians, was falsifying documents to become Indian for they could get the land. I'm gonna talk about that Wednesday. We're gonna talk about that Wednesday. I want to show that. So Andrea is definitely 100% right. We have to learn who our people is in our bloodline. And a lot of people were adopted back then too. So to get this information, it's gonna take a little bit of time, but a lot of people would never find out exactly who their people was because of some of the documents and things. So when you was a slave, then you might find out who your people was and where they came from throughout that. But then we got to go farther back into our real history. The people who was indigenous to this land and was moved from the East Coast to the West Coast and vice versa. So thank you, Andrea.
You're welcome. And one other thing I want to say too, I dropped this in the comments, but I know people be like, oh, 28 days, we only have the shortest, days for Black History Month. But also Carter G. Woodson chose February because of Lincoln and Frederick Douglass's birthday and their contributions to African Americans. And so I think that's one thing that we have to understand and learn too. So if their birthdays was born in July, July has 31 days. Black History Month would be in July, but it just so
Mm.
happened to be in February. So I think also just changing some of the narratives of how we're talking and
Mute your
what we're
mic, Styles.
talking about to, oh, say that again.
No, I'm telling him to mute his mic. He got some feedback.
Oh, okay. So yeah, just changing our narrative of how we're getting information and using it. And a lot of times people get stuff
Agreed.
from the internet
Agreed.
and stuff like that. They're not reading the books. They're not opening the books. Even my son he's in kindergarten. And I asked his teacher, I said, are y'all doing anything for Black History Month? And she was like, well, we're talking about Emma Jameson, with because he goes to a STEM school. Okay,
Yeah.
great. But what about all the other Black inventors? What
Fact.
about them? You just want to focus on that, piece of it because he, goes to a STEM, type of school. Great. But also mathematics, technology, things like that. So what are the contributions that these other Black people have made that these kids should be learning about, right? They're not
Yeah.
going to teach you that at school. So as parents, we have to be able to get the information and instill that into our children as well. And that is also a part of our history.
And that's why
Fact.
I feel like in our generation, I think that's where I feel like a lot of us have dropped the ball because we didn't really get the education or educate ourselves on it as much. And then now this generation that we got now really don't even care about it.
Yeah, facts. And that's what we got to do with this podcast. We got to sit them down and tell them, like, hey, listen, at the end of the day, our blood runs through everything on earth. You know what I mean? The way that the scientific fact of that you can take two black people and make a white baby, which is what we call the albino. You know
What?
what I mean? And you can't do that with no other race. Our bloodline is different. You know what I mean? We gotta be proud of something. You know what I mean? We have to. We have to be proud of something before we can move on as a people. If not, we're gonna be always messed up.
But I'm gonna say this, and this is live. I don't know how this gonna what feedback this is gonna have, but this is I'm gonna just
It don't
say how I
matter.
feel.
It don't matter. Let's
But
talk
my
about
thing
it.
is this, but this is my thing. I get it, but I also wanted to also be as Minnesota as a whole. I don't want to feel like that this podcast is just feel like that I'm podcasting just for black people or whatever. I want it to be for all people to understand the history of where they come from and
Fact.
understand what they went through. I want to
Yes.
make sure I put that out there because I don't want it to feel like this is just a show that is just about African American stuff. It's about
Yeah.
everybody as a whole. Even though it says Minnesota Cold Talk, a lot of the issues that we talk about happens in Minnesota and many other states, many other cities. So I want people to understand that even though we're talking like that, I want to say it as a whole. But this is what we're specifically talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for saying that too, A Rob. For the people that just tuning in that don't know what we talk about, this is a special show for Black History Month. If you go back a couple of nights ago, we had a couple other talks about Black history and why should we be important. Matter of fact, the topic was Black history. How does history play a part on the pride of the people? Now, I'm gonna share my screen real quick, and I want y'all to understand what we do here. I want y'all to think. Yeah, thank you for that one, A Rob, because I didn't think about that. I don't want people to think like, oh, well, there's a black no, this ain't no black only podcast. We open. You guys see this right here? So every couple of days I'll post somebody that's powerful in history to me. We've been doing this for a couple of days. This right here is my brother right here. He make movies and everything now. He's a writer, producer, director. He does his own films. I brought him into the conversation because this is what we need to start doing. We need to start creating our movies, telling stories for our people to feel proud about it. You know what I mean? I got one more on here that I want to show you guys. This was the topic. Where's the other one at? So we talked that so this month we're definitely dedicating it to the education of our people. Our first episode was about the Black Panthers and how they played a role in history right now for everybody in America, the free lunch program, the WIC program, and things like that. So we just educating our people, man. So yeah, this is what we do, y'all. This is what we do. So we don't want to run nobody off, man, thinking that we're going to sit there and talk for nah, but we definitely want to educate not just only our people, but everybody, because a lot of Europeans, a lot of Asians, a lot of Mexican people played a huge part on the development of America. And we should all have our information out there, and our kids should be able to read about it. So.
And if I can jump in on this piece too, just to kind of double back, but about the education, I think it's high time too that we stop with the I didn't learn about this in school, right? They didn't teach me that in school.
Yeah.
There are libraries out here. Every community has a library. And what's at the library? Books. You just gotta go and you gotta read. And so I think people, a lot of times they're like, oh, I didn't learn this in school. Well, school doesn't teach us life either a lot of times, right? They don't teach you how to budget and how to, get rent or, rent an apartment, how to buy a car, stuff like that. A lot of the stuff you learn from your community, your parents, the people you grew up with and things like that, right? And so I feel like in what I'm doing, for my life and for my future, I'm educating myself. I'm going to the library. I'm getting books. I'm learning. I'm reading. My dad has always, instilled in us, get an education. And education is more than just going to school. You have to take accountability to be able to do your own homework and not just listen to what everybody else is saying. Because like I could say one thing, A-Rod could say something, Solo, you could say something else.
Yeah,
right?
fact.
But what's in the books?
Mm.
Right?
Yeah,
Did I
absolutely,
take that
absolutely,
time to
absolutely.
go and educate myself and say, hey, this book, in this book that was written in blank, blank, blank by so and so, so and so, and this is the information. And so I think that's something that we really have to start doing is reading. Reading is fundamental, and people miss that a lot. So I
Yeah.
just want to encourage y'all to read.
And I want to post a couple of books, right on my screen real quick that people can catch this information. The books have really cost nothing too, so there's really no excuse, um, not to be able to get these books. I'm gonna post a couple of them while we're talking. This is one of the books right here, and these books are important. When you get into these books, you got to be real. You got to make sure you read them, and then you go back in history and see what was going on. They talk about 800 years and things like that. How they first started taking over things. But when you read these books, you got to just go into the language too, because a lot of words are being translated different, and they mean different things now. So this is one of the books for people who is curious about how the Moors ruled Spain, and there's many other books, and I'm gonna keep posting them. The more we talk, I just keep on posting certain things so people can get the information. And when you talk about reading, and that's where we really need to focus in at, and that's why I really I'm working with the Ramsey County right now to try to get a program. That's what we're doing right now, trying to create a program where we give kids one-on-one tutoring of how to read. A 6-month program. My auntie said she could do it in 4 months, but we'll do it 6 months because not only will we give them reading, we'll teach them how to film, how to edit, and any other type of trades that anybody that want to join this program and teach our kids. But this is something we're really pushing. I'm gonna give a special shout out for Zeke from out in Maplewood. He got Ducks Donuts. He is an actual sponsor of the Minnesota Cold Talk podcast. He has his own tutoring school, so shout out to him. And hopefully this happens. But we need the people keep watching the show. Hopefully I can get 5,000 followers so I can push it to the Ramsey County people and say, hey, we got a following, and then not only that, we already got the kids that we want to work on and everything like that. We got a goal, so we need to set a goal, set a business plan, and make it happen. So, Andre, I really need you. You know what I mean? We need to get
Yes,
this word
sir.
out here.
I got you.
If people ain't familiar about what I'm talking about, the education reading level in our high schools right now is at the lowest it's been. And if you don't
Mm-hmm.
believe me, you can go look at the stats right now and read the stats of in your local where you're from. But in Minnesota, Ramsey County, where I'm at, horrible, man, for real. So,
If I could say this too, one of the things with reading is comprehension.
oh,
The
that
kids
comes
aren't
together.
comprehending the information that's given to them. So not only can they not read, they don't understand what it is that they are reading as well. And so being able to even, when I read my son books, okay, what happened? The beginning, the middle, and the end. Tell me what happened.
Mm,
You
See,
can't remember? Okay, let's read it again. And then I'll
and that's
break
the
it
thing.
down to him. A lot of
fact,
times, parents on top of that aren't reading to their children anyway. Because why?
fact.
They don't quote unquote have time.
You
That's
know,
why
and
it's so important to have intentional parenting time with your children. Put the phone down, turn off the dog on TV.
Mm,
yeah,
You running around, running the streets. Get in the house and spend time with your kids. Sit down for an hour. If you can't do an
and the
hour,
thing,
fine. 10 minutes. Everybody go get a book, read your book, and then share with the family what you read. Sit down at the
right,
dinner table. Talk about what you read today, and be able to have that comprehension piece. It's not just I'm reading ABC, see dog run, whatever that is. No, okay, well, then when the dog ran, where did he go? And what did he
right,
do? And what was the
right,
purpose of the
mm,
dog running?
facts,
right.
facts,
Because
facts.
actually, that's actually something that I actually tell people all the time because I struggle with reading actually, and the one thing that I know that I have to do is I can read you a paragraph all day. Now, what the paragraph was about, sometimes I might not, but everybody has to learn their mechanism
Mm-hmm.
to absorb the words. Everybody can say words, but everybody can't absorb them just by reading them.
Mm-hmm.
it's certain strategies that you have to do. Like for me, sometimes I feel like as with me, if I read out loud, I pick it up better than if I read in silence. So,
That's good.
or if I actually run my finger across the words and follow the words, it makes me focus more on the sentence and understand the sentence and understand the words. It's just different techniques. I feel like a lot of times people think that when people say they don't know how to read, people know how to read, they just don't know how to comprehend it. They don't know how to absorb it. And then, like you said, that's actually like really key because there's different levels to people that don't know how to form words and there's people that don't know how to absorb words. So.
Yeah, you know what, man? Thank you guys for giving me a beautiful topic that we need to have more. A lot of parents, I don't want to say I blame the parents, but I kind of really want to shove this in the parents' face because they feel embarrassed because they have problems comprehending and reading, and they don't want to, really get no help for it to help the child. But you know what I mean? That's why we got to give them a safe place to be able to speak and talk, for we can open the doors and get these people in this program. You know what I mean? Once we have enough family and enough people to go and ask for a program, it's going to be easy. Any rec center would give us a program. Let us go there for like 2 or 3 hours a day and use it for free. So we're definitely working on that. And we need to talk more about this, man, because the school can only do so much. You know what I mean? Once the kids come home, the parents either too tired or they don't know it. I remember when my daughter, I had my daughter through all the way through high school, from the 8th grade all the way to she graduated, went to college, right? My daughter brought me her math one day, and I'm like, yo, what is that? I kid you not. I'm like, yo, I'm thinking she got like some alien encryption type of thing, how to build a UFO. I'm like, yo, what is this? She's like, yeah, this is my math, and X equals woo woo. I'm like, yeah, that's what's up. So I'm glad she ain't never asked me, Dad, could you show me how to do it? Cause I'd have been mad as hell. I would have had to go learn it. Cause I'm looking at her math like, yo, I don't know what none of this. This is crazy right here. So
Yo, and real talk, I think COVID taught a lot of parents that
for
too.
real,
For when they
man,
had to help their kids at school, it was like, hold on, let me
man,
sit down
let me
real quick.
let me
And
go relearn this.
I'm not great at math either. Like them numbers you start getting to doing all of, I said, look, can I get a calculator? But what if there is no
Word,
calculator? I'm gonna have to
word,
figure it out. So like how
facts,
Era was talking about different strategies. So different
yeah,
strategies to teach our children and for us parents to not be, offended or feeling bad because we don't know something. And that's why community is so important,
facts,
and creating safe
facts.
spaces for people. Because A-Rod, I had an issue too with reading. Like I could read all day. But hold on, you go back and be like, okay, so what'd you read? Be like, yeah, let me read it again real quick and then let me come back to you, right? But the more you practice those strategies, then the easier it gets and then you
Yeah,
can help somebody else. And
yeah,
so
for
that's the
sure.
importance of, community now. So like when I'm reading stuff, I'd be like, oh, okay, okay. And sometimes I'll have a little notebook and take notes, or underline different things or put little things on there so it can jog my memory. But the
Yeah,
more I read, then, the better it gets. But if I only read one book, not even a book, a page a week, that's not going to do nothing. You have to read every day. And that doesn't include scrolling on TikTok, reading people comments. Nah, put the phone down and pick up a
facts,
book.
And you know what's
facts.
so crazy about that too is like when you read into like a lot of people stray away from it because when they're not understanding the book, they just be like they want to put it down. But once you're able to understand what the book is about, it makes you want to read more and more and more and more and more because a person doesn't have an idea of the of like they don't have like a picture in their mind of or know how to absorb what the book is telling you. You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel
Yep.
like a lot of times is that you just have to initially get that idea of what it is. That's why with me, people joke about it. I'll be joking about it, but I'll be serious. Like I'll be like, people ask me like, "What do you like to read?" I'll be like, "I like to read a lot of books with pictures in it, like magazines and stuff like that,
Word.
because
Mm,
it makes it to where I can actually have something to go off of, and it'll make me read it more because I have a picture. You know what I'm saying? To go off
Yeah.
of.
Hey, but you know what?
mhm.
Shout out to Aunt Pritchard. She said sometimes children don't need to read things 2 or 3 times to comprehend it. She done had the same problem myself as a grandma. I read things at least twice. But listen, y'all,
That's true.
it's all good.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing this right here for the Minnesota Cold Talk podcast. That's why I know the information that I know right now. I didn't break it down into the religious part because I don't want to disrespect nobody's religion. And I don't want people to feel like I'm coming at their religion and things like that. And we got to be real careful how we have conversations, not only with brothers, with friends. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to offend somebody. You know what I mean? So being able to show them the information and let it read it themselves, because a lot of people, you can give people information that they don't want. You know what I mean? They're like, "Oh, thank you." I mean, how they going to help me in 2025? So they don't really even want the information. But for us to teach our children, I think we have to give them this information. Andrea said, "Solo, please give me the link where I could show people." I'm gonna give you the link still, but
Okay, no, you good,
but
you good.
I would love for them to come here and watch it,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
I can make sense for them because the dates mean a lot. The 1711 to 14 something, that means a lot. That means you go back in history and you get that information and you catch up. We got to get ready to end the show because it's 10:06, y'all. We're an hour in.
What happened at 10:30? No, I'm playing.
I mean, I would do 10:30, but I don't want to overdo it with the
No, you
information.
good. You
You
got.
know what I mean?
I just give you.
But
Yeah, Solo, if we can come back and have a topic about the fundamentals of reading, and you know, I do a lot of early childhood development,
yeah,
birth through age 5. And so they say, you know, a lot you have to read to the kids, you know, and I even encourage moms when they're pregnant, hey, read to your babies in the womb. They can hear you, they hear your voice. And you
yeah,
wonder why during slavery, because we're talking about Black history, they didn't want us to read. Why? Because reading is powerful. Reading is knowledge, right? Y'all be running around here signing these contracts, putting y'all names on any and everything. Don't read the terms and conditions. Look, I was going to
Fact.
sign up for DoorDash the other night to just, you know, have a little extra income. I started reading them terms and conditions. I said, no, I might have to ask somebody about this because I don't know if I really want to do that. Even with your jobs, you sign in contracts, then get mad when they implement something, but you haven't read your contract. So
Yeah, that's
that's
a fact.
important.
Right.
So
And a lot of
I
times
think
people see all
having
them
a
words, they
topic
be
on
like, I ain't gonna
reading
read
is.
that.
Oh, what'd
Now,
you say, Rod?
A lot of times too, I think on purpose they put a bunch of words so that it intimidate you because you don't want to read
It'll
all that.
intimidate you, yeah.
hey,
Because the big old
shout out
words
to
you don't
Amanda.
know, and you don't want to take the time. And let me just say this, and I'm gonna be done with it. We live in a popcorn society a microwave society where we
Talk
want it
about it.
done now.
We've got that
Now.
microwave blessing, man. That is
Yep,
a
that ain't
straight
gonna
word from the
work.
Minnesota code. You're not gonna be able to do it with a microwave blessing. Listen, y'all. Right now, I'm using this snippet for our TikTok. So if you guys want to finish this conversation, we will be going live at TikTok at 11 o'clock. We're gonna be there talking. So please come join. This is gonna be our 5th episode. Last year the Minnesota Cold Talk podcast had over 784 views. We almost hit 1 million views, you guys, for last year. So that's dope. No telling what we got right now. I want to end it on this Malcolm X interview. Hold on. Okay, we can go a little longer because I want to ask Andrea this question. Andrea, did you hear what Malcolm X said about bringing America up on charges for what they did to the Negro?
Yes, sir. And he
How,
died a couple months after that.
how do
Wonder
you
why.
how do you feel about that, man? And why haven't nobody talked about that afterwards? Because we still got
Because they
Louis
scared
Farrakhan.
us. People scared. And also because they put, and I'm going to say this, I might get some backlash for it, but they put Martin Luther King and Malcolm X against one another based on their religion.
But you
And
know
that's all
what?
I'm going to say. I'm going to be
No.
quiet.
You're right. But I see you wasn't here for the last show. I wish you was here for the last show. We played Malcolm X. And I mean Malcolm X. No. Martin Luther King. We played Martin Luther King, and his last speech, he already talked about the separation they tried to pull. Did you know
Mm-hmm.
that they killed him, and
Mm-hmm.
then a couple years later they killed his mother and his brother?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yo,
But
that
people
blew
don't
my
talk
mind.
about that. People don't know about that. They don't talk about that.
And guess who?
And
But
they're
hold on,
doing it to
hold
okay.
on, Andrea.
I'm listening.
I got more information. Now, guess who killed Malcolm X? Martin Luther King's mother.
Who? The
A
government?
a black Israelite killed her.
Wow.
So they not only did they try to put Malcolm X against Martin Luther King through their religion, which is Muslim and Christian, they actually put a black Israelite in there and had her assassinated. Excuse me, and I'm not trying to sound vulgar, but shot her 3 times in the head in church. You know what I mean? And please
Mm.
go, y'all. Y'all, we have the best topics when it comes to relationships, when it comes to cheating advice, and when we come to all these topics. But yo, this Black History Month, February, was amazing and filled with energy. Y'all got to go back and watch the other episodes. We talked about Martin Luther King, what happened to his mother, and his brother. So, man, the information I'm trying to give y'all is for you to give to your kids, because the first thing they want to talk about is what is school, Malcolm X or Martin Luther King. Let's talk about Martin Luther King's mother. You know what I mean? If you're gonna tell the story, tell the whole story. You feel me? Now, they hid the
And
information.
sidebar, sorry, solo
No, go
sidebar.
ahead, go
Wasn't
ahead.
Martin Luther King, wasn't his name Michael before it was Martin?
I think so, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. I'm pretty sure it was.
All right,
So that's
let me.
another thing. Why was the name changed? I haven't done my research on that, so I don't want to talk too much on
Well,
that.
well,
But
whatever
what
it
was the
was,
reason for the name change?
well, wherever it was, his mother and his father had information that got her killed. Because the father and the rest of the family went into like real quiet. They got real quiet after that. You heard nothing else about the King family after that. You know what I mean? But I want everybody to focus in on what I'm saying right now about Malcolm X. You know what I mean? What he said is 100% true, and the United States and the whole world have a treaty of how they were going to treat their servants or slaves, indigent servants. I'm gonna play this video before we get up out of here. I just want y'all to listen to what Malcolm X said.
In this country.
Are you prepared to go into the United Nations at this point and ask that charges be brought against the United States for its treatment of American Negroes?
Oh yes. Please. I think you're right in my chair. The audience will have to be quiet. Yes, as I pointed out when I was during my traveling, that African nations and Asian nations and Latin American nations look very hypocritical when they stand up in the United Nations condemning the racist practices of South Africa and that which is practiced by Portugal and Angola, and saying nothing in the UN about the racist practices that are manifest every day against Negroes in this society. Even in South Africa, those Africans aren't faced with bayonets and aren't faced with police dogs. I would be not a man. If I was in a position to bring it in front of the United Nations and didn't do so, I wouldn't be a man.
Thank you for joining the Minnesota Cold Talk podcast. We really appreciate you guys.